All right, click the links to join the channel here over at Subscribestar or now over at Odyssey. Thanks to everyone who signed up over there. Very cool. So Mags needs rent money. Oh, first of all, SJWs, if you manage to come across this video, please don't watch the video. You won't enjoy it. I promise you, you won't enjoy it. And you'll just leave a long, angry rant that I have to read, and it pisses me off because I can't call you what you are. So, I mean, you can just block this channel and you won't be bothered by that istophobic Hugo Boss on social media. It's like, no, I'm told you right up front, please don't watch the video. Guys, I need money also so I can start a militia in Idaho. I'm not even joking. You know, I absolutely would. I just call it a Satire Spiritual Center for Harmonic Universal Studies. Support now on Subscribestar, because Daddy needs a new AR. So comic books are written by mentally ill soy boys who smoke weed, looking rough there, dude, and just drip estrogen. And if I could use a term, the thing is, I had to search to see if I could use the term ladyboy in the YouTube title. So I did a search of that to see if people used it, because that's how you tell on YouTube. And now I have that in my search history, and I really wish I didn't, because now I'm on the front page. There's coming up with like Southeast Asian ladyboy videos because I searched for it once, which was a real mistake. Also, doing the Mags thing, reading their Twitter, going down the BLT rabbit hole. That's the most depressing thing I've ever seen people do to themselves, what this current fad is. And I would love to speak honestly about, you know, what should be done to the doctors after legally processed involved with this horror show, because they are Magnus Hirschfeld level sociopaths making money by literally mutilating and sterilizing people. This is a collection of depressed people caught up in Weimar who needed a stable nation and family. Instead, they have a Bolshevik found family and statistically are not headed for good things, and nobody seems to address that, the self-harm issue. And nobody seems to go, okay, maybe there's an underlying problem. It sounds like depression or some other kind of something like that. Why don't we deal with that? It's like, istophobe says what? You know they're hurting themselves. What? How can this all happen? Because there's billions to be made from people hurting themselves, and well, the doctors support it. They'll say whatever the fuck you want them to say if you're paying them. The doctor has a Porsche that he paid $180,000 for. That's why he'll say whatever you tell him to say. It's just as simple as that. They trust the science. Yeah, trust the science. Oh, the same scientists who told you cigarettes were good for you. That was then. It wasn't that long ago. The same scientist who told you like the food pyramid, which changes every 5 years. That was 5 years ago. The same science. You get the idea where we're going with this. They'll say whatever they're paid to say. Anyway, so we're the Nazis because we say that the medical industry are monsters profiting off of these people's depression, and I'm the bad guy telling them not to remove their body parts. They're the most passive-aggressive pussies you're going to find online. So they write their comics pushing toxic alt-left, anti-white racism, anti-nation, anti-Christian stuff. Then they get offended when nobody buys their literally, and not used as a pejorative, gay comics. Most of the customers, we don't hate the gays. I said most. Yes, I know some of you do. We just don't think about them. It's just not in our Venn diagram of overlap. But they also don't want to read stories by them. We've got different values than the big Bolshevik BLTVG agenda. So what's weird is these panty-sniffing soy boy pussies write woke SJW cancer stories, and their soy pussy audience doesn't end up buying the stories. It's like they say one thing and that they love diverse promo. Dear God, what a horror show that is. Holy we're really in just the darkest. I don't think, I can't imagine anyone. So what, Sodom and Gomorrah, you thought you'd recreate it? Anyway, people don't actually love diversity. People don't actually support it. They support on social media where it's free. So the gay BLT stuff, it appeals to a very small audience. And Mags, it's weird because they're a somewhat well-known name in comics, but there's a few factors that make their name kind of out of proportion with the stuff that they work on selling, because they put themselves on the bullshit oppression hierarchy at the peak, which is actually really clever of the trans community. So now, according to the woke rules, they get to be the center of attention. but they still write. I have to use their stupid pronouns because I don't know how YouTube feels about like me using the correct pronouns. The thing is, they still write woke crap, so there's an imbalance there, and it's because of social media where they get a lot of digital support, but people don't buy the product. Where it's different, kind of the inverse for Comicsgate, because Comicsgate has a smaller social media footprint on Twitter, that because it doesn't require a time investment, but it's bigger on YouTube and Rumble, the video hosting platforms, and Odyssey too, which translates into more money. People virtue signal for people like Mags, but they don't actually buy their stuff. People will buy Comicsgate stuff. Comicsgate's it's gee, you'd think the left wing would support small independent business networks that are outside the mainstream. You're like, oh, they have the wrong politics. Oh, like the milk toast Trump supporters. No, you understand. Trump is literally the Austrian corporal. You look at them like, are you just insane? Like, you say these things. I know you don't really believe them, and you get them a moment alone. You go, okay, so what policies of his that are literally, literally from that era? And they go, okay, maybe I exaggerated. And it's like, you think? So people don't actually support a lot of this woke stuff. It's the audience doesn't really like Mags' stories, which I've read everything they wrote for the channel, because they're just woke, found family, globalist nonsense. Here's the thing. They like the idea of Mags, as long as the support is free, which is the worst thing about Twitter. And the thing with Mags is them being BLT, the cross-dressing thing, actually ended up hurting them because they have this overinflated social media following, where if they were just plain old Brian Vissagio, the Generation X 45-year-old Coomer consumer Star Wars guy with the plastic fuck dolls on the bookshelf, that's just the lamest part of the YouTube. If I ever live stream, I'll get a green screen, and behind the green screen will be all that, like, the Funko Pop dolls, just the crap on the bookshelves. Anyway, so they would have the same social media footprint as like a B. Clay Moore, who's a fat beard swilling grifter on Twitter for 15 years with like 8,000 followers. He's a guy who did Big Hawaiian Dick on Kickstarter, which I got to say looked fantastic. The art, I don't know who did the art on that, looked great. And he actually ripped off $20,000 that he probably spent on anime porn with Kurt Eichenwald. My point is, Zur never had to improve because they were artificially blown up because they changed their name. And it actually ended up hurting them because they never had to improve their writing. So now they're in the worst position of all, where they're a pseudo online celebrity, but it doesn't come with any money. It just comes with Twitter followers, which you could capitalize on if you wrote good stories that people were willing to pay $5 for. And the thing is, I bet if you took my little social media footprint across the various platforms and you compared it to them, I think the support for me financially would be greater, because and Mags is 100 times bigger, but I can promise you is not getting 100 times the support, because even if they got 10 times the support, they wouldn't need to be e-begging. And for Zur, if you're a writer and you're constantly running out of cash, I don't know where they live. I think they live on the East Coast somewhere in a pricey area. Why wouldn't you just move to a small town in Eastern Oregon? There's a ton of states you could move to. You're a writer. All your stuff is done using a network, and now with the technology is so good now for cameras and scanners and everything. It's like you can do so much stuff. Like, you never need to go IRL to meet somebody. If you're a writer, even if you're an artist, the scans are. People do art on the computers, but the scans themselves are super high quality. You get what I'm saying? It's like, if you're living in New York or something, or even anywhere on the East Coast, it's like, why wouldn't you just get a nice place in Nevada somewhere? Or you want to be in the hippy dippy stuff? Okay, there's plenty of places in Oregon and Washington that are off the coast where it's going to be a whole lot cheaper to get yourself a nice garden. I got potatoes growing right now. Apparently they will grow in winter as long as it's not a hard frost or something. And they're actually accidental potatoes, which means they're accidental potatoes grow. You don't dig them all up and they'll just sprout after another couple months. Where's I going with that? The thing is, if you're living in a big city, I think you're just kind of wasting money. Anyway, so they're shilling for cash, and the comic book industry's doing great. No, it's not, and they will never admit that, because because the wrong people would be happy, like the Comicsgate people. The Comicsgate is only able to exist because the mainstream was so bad. Like, Zach is a funny guy. He's got a lot of personality. He's a guy who sat in his car with a cell phone, holding the phone in one hand while he held the comic in the other. It's a pretty low tech, no tech presentation. And like, he was only able to make a go of it because the mainstream stuff was just unreadable, and he was pointing out how unreadable it is. So these people, Mags and this other guy, are just the most unlikable, hateful people on earth. And this guy, it's like, well, you're McKeever, so you're from the UK, somewhere Scottish or Wales or Irish or something. So obviously you're the wrong ethnicity to work in mainstream comics now. You don't have any oppression points. And the thing is, this guy probably does have some talent, but he's out of work. Where if he was a trans something or some kind of BLT or something like that, he would be probably still part of the community. Yeah, obviously the mainstream's in trouble. Anyway, so they're both e-begging and working in the comic book industry, and like Heather Antos was in the same position, like begging for a new computer. Hey, I beg for a new computer too, but I'm not one of these people. I'm just and the thing is, Mags is begging for stuff, and it's weird because one, they beg every 6 months. The last time I paid attention to them, it was a year ago. They needed like $4,000 or $5,000, and they got it. They just go on and beg for money. It's like, well, I need a new AR. Can I shill for, it's like, it doesn't quite work for me because I don't have those, though I will say Mr. Nature made a ridiculously large donation and got the computer, but can I shill for an AR? Is that maybe not one of them in California because they have that 10 round limit, so it's kind of pointless. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Have yourself a happy New Year, safe New Year. Don't drink and drive. It's not worth it. And I'll see you guys all next episode.